Our story begins with the ground completely bloodied. A woman appears, asking where they are. On the ground, there is a completely wounded man, covered in blood. She then points her sword at him and asks again. The boy, so badly injured that he can barely speak, thinks, who would have thought that this woman, Yahello, a direct descendant of the supreme swordsman, would be so powerful as to kill hundreds of demonic humans with a single blow. She, the divine sword, was responsible for killing the celestial demon. We then saw it exterminate several demonic humans by piercing the chest of the last of them. It is said to have caused the Great Orthodox Demon War. She then grabs our protagonist, Gu-Yang-chun, by the neck and says that he knows the whereabouts of the other demonic humans and demands that he tell the truth. If he had the slightest bit of guilt, he would have to tell her. Gu-Yang-chun replies, I know, but I can't tell you because my vocal cords have been destroyed. Besides, there's a spell on my heart that stops me. Indeed, his heart was covered in runes. He continues, this would be my last chance. Yahello begins to cry intensely and says that everyone wants him dead, but if he helps her, she will do anything to save him. She begs him to tell her everything, but he thinks that maybe all that hatred is because of the demonic humans she hasn't captured. Or maybe it's because of the meteor swordsman called Jang Xianian. It's said that her fiancé has been kidnapped by the demon humans, and Gu-Yang-chun thinks it's pathetic for the strongest woman in the world to beg and cry over a man. She then tackles Gu-Yang-chun to the ground and says, if I had known you were so vile, I would have killed you the first time we met. I regret not doing it. Gu-Yang-chun, for his part, thinks, the first time we met. When was that? It's probably very different from what I remember. Then the scene changes to two children, and he wonders where it all went wrong. He confesses to himself, I'm a miserable traitor. I attacked so many people behind their backs and allied myself with demonic humans. Now I understand everything perfectly. It must all just be karma. Yahello, still crying, hears a noise and looks at Gu-Yang-chun. With his own blood, he begins to write some things down, but the spell on his heart affects him and he begins to vomit blood. He explains, the curse placed on me will make my heart explode if I break the conditions. This is the demon art of the celestial demon, and I must not betray the demon cult. Yahello ran up to him, telling him that he didn't need to write anything. He could barely hear what she was saying and thought, what if I said that I had been manipulated all this time and that none of this was my choice? Would she believe me? Well, it seems so. I could make 1,000 excuses, but it's too late now. Why would I do that? This is surely the end of me. He then draws some things on the ground with his blood, but his heart starts to explode with pain. He wonders why he followed this path and remembers a moment in his life when his sister told him to be happy. Yahello shouts his name, asking if he can hear her. He thinks of all the regrets, big and small, that have formed his life. The scene then changes to a girl sitting among skulls, with bloodshot eyes, who says, it's you, isn't it? I'm sorry. We see that it was Gu-Yang-chun. Yahello cries a lot over his death, and we have another flashback where a girl, lying on the ground, asks him why he was crying. He replies that he wasn't crying, it was just the rain. She says, I see, you're not crying, but the moon is already in the sky. He confirms that yes, the moon was up there. She then says that they were both there at that moment, and that it was great. The woman lying on the ground reached out to him, but soon died. She had a huge wound on her abdomen. It is then revealed that Gu-Yang-chun, of the Shanshigu clan, was born into a renowned clan of the Orthodox faction and lived as an Orthodox martial artist before betraying his faction and going over to the dark side. The demon cult lost the Great Orthodox Demon War, and Gu-Yang-chun was tortured as a prisoner of war before dying. He finally closes his eyes, but suddenly he hears a voice. Patata, someone says. He thought for a moment that someone would say patati right away, but he realized that it was just a little girl with a potato in her hand who couldn't speak properly. He then comes back to reality and asks what was happening at that moment. He can't understand how he ended up there again, and when he looks at his hands, he realizes that he still can't believe what's happening. He's sure that he violated the heavenly demon's ban and that his heart exploded, ending his life in Yahello's arms. But now, his heart is beating normally in his chest, as if nothing had happened. What's more, when he looks at his small clean hands, he realizes that it must be his younger self. He wonders if it was a dream, but he doesn't understand why it's happening, since that wasn't the day he met Yahello for the first time. He tries to remember what he said back then, but can't. Then he remembers that he slapped the girl's hand, knocking over her potato, and telling her that she shouldn't get in his way and that she should know her more place. Outraged, he thinks, did I really say that? He realizes that he is reliving this as a dream and that he has many regrets in his life. The little girl, who had already given up on giving him the potatoes, said that it seemed he didn't really like potatoes. This time, however, he takes the potato from her hand and thanks her, saying he'll enjoy it. However, when he took a bite of the potato, he ended up spitting it out, wondering what it was. It didn't seem real, but it was so hot. The little girl smiles and comments that his face has turned red. Suddenly, a man appears, shouting for the young master. The man says that the young master has suddenly disappeared. The boy recognizes the man as his bodyguard, but tries to remember his name, wondering if it's Muyan, although he's not too sure. The man explains that he was very worried, thinking that something had happened to him, but soon realizes that the young master's tongue was burnt. The little girl had offered him a very hot potato. The bodyguard asks how she could do that, but the boy says it's okay and asks him to give him that thing. The man, not understanding very well, asks what he wants, and the boy replies, "The honey cookie. I know you have one with you." The man hands over the cookie, saying that it was the last one. The boy then asks the girl if she would like it. Surprised, she asks if he was really giving her the cookie. He confirms it, saying that he had received a very delicious potato and that this was the only thing he could offer in return at the moment. The girl, with saliva in her mouth, said that it was the first time she had received something so shiny and sweet-smelling. Suddenly, the girl's grandfather appears and rushes into his granddaughter's arms, asking if she is safe. He tells her never to let go of his hand, and the girl replies that everything was fine, that she had even collected potatoes for him. The little girl's grandfather tells her that she was just a brat and that the potatoes weren't really a problem. He then asks her if she hasn't hurt herself anywhere, and she replies that everything is fine. However, it seems that our protagonist already knew that gentleman. The girl comments that she also gave the boy a potato, but just as she was about to point it out to him, the grandfather quickly takes her hand, lowers it, and they both bow to the young master. Her grandfather explains that his granddaughter didn't know the ways of the world and ended up committing a serious offense against the young master of a prestigious family. He apologizes profusely if she has offended him in any way. The boy replies that it was all right, and that it was actually he who was very grateful to her. He comments that he was very hungry and, fortunately, this kind little girl gave him a potato, which he enjoyed. He then says that the only thing he can give back at the moment is that honey cookie and asks if it would be all right if she accepted it. The little girl was very happy and said that the cookie looked very sweet and shiny. When she went to take the cookie, her grandfather interfered, saying that there was no way they could accept something so precious. He explains that they had to go so as not to disturb the young master any further. The grandfather takes the little girl and runs off. The protagonist then asks the master to wait just a moment. The gentleman nervously said that if the young master was angry, he could take it out on him, but that he should spare his granddaughter. However, the protagonist hands the cookie to the girl and says that that was his answer. The girl, overjoyed, said she would give him more potatoes, but he replied that it wasn't necessary. Meanwhile, her grandfather was thinking, "That child, you really have found the Lord." The grandfather and granddaughter said goodbye, thanking him very much. The protagonist, exhausted by the whole situation, is asked by the bodyguard if he was feeling uncomfortable. The protagonist then reveals that that old man was, until recently, the leader of the Muram Alliance, one of the three great supremes, acclaimed as one of the strongest in Muram, spreading fear and terror among the unorthodox members. That old man was the Supreme Sword, Yahello. He wondered what the Supreme Sword was doing in that place, and, even if it was only a dream, he was almost killed. The little girl then waves to the protagonist, all happy, and he smiles in response. The bodyguard then said that the young master needed to return immediately, and he agreed, saying that it was time to leave. The protagonist commented that he had no more regrets and that it was time to move on. The bodyguard then says that they have arrived. However, the protagonist began to feel uncomfortable, wondering why it never ended. If it really was a dream, he should have woken up a long time ago. And if it wasn't a dream, perhaps it was related to the curse of the celestial demon, although that's just a guess. Suddenly, he began to find everything very interesting, and a familiar voice appeared. A girl appears and says, "And to think you'd come instead of running away, huh? Especially from a place where the head of the clan is coming." He thinks the girl was the Flaming Sword, Guyancio, his second eldest sister, and the person who despised him most in the world. He realizes that the reason everyone was gathered there was was because the head of the clan was coming. Gu Yanxio asks what he was up to this time, and if he was planning something pointless, it would be better to stop now and, preferably, disappear. The protagonist then slaps her hand and says, "I'm here because I need to be." She retorts, "That's coming from a kid who always knew that, but never showed his face until now." He admits that it was his fault and that he would apologize to the head of the clan later. His sister, furious, calls him by name, her threatening aura growing around her. She warns, "I don't know what trick you're up to this time, but you better stop it now, or I'll be very angry with you." She was about to continue, but he asked her to wait, because their father, actually the head of the clan, was coming. A man arrives on a red horse and asks what all the fuss was about. The protagonist and all the others bow to him. His father observes the protagonist attentively and then turns his face away, calling the minister. The head of the clan asks if there was a unit of swordsmen being prepared, and the minister replies that the first unit of swordsmen was resting after their return and that the fourth unit was currently awaiting orders. The chief then orders the fourth unit to finish its preparations and meet him. Meanwhile, the protagonist still didn't know if it was a dream or reality, but his gaze was more determined than ever. Suddenly, the head of the clan looked at him and said, "You, third child, as soon as the meal is over, come to the patriarch's room, alone." This leaves the protagonist, his sister, and his bodyguard very surprised. The protagonist asks the bodyguard if he has any medicine for indigestion, as he wasn't feeling well. His sister smiles and sarcastically comments, "The boy shit his pants, huh?" The protagonist is grateful that he didn't go to supper wearing white underpants. The scene switches to the meal, and the protagonist is still horrified. He thinks that the meal and the atmosphere were the same as always, but he couldn't tell if he was really eating through his mouth or his nose. It was uncomfortable enough to be called out separately from the others. He wished someone could do something to improve the atmosphere of that meal. The head of the clan then says to the second child, "I hear you've had an achievement in martial arts." She replies in the affirmative, saying that she has had a little enlightenment and has recently become a 3-star martial artist. The chief praises his daughter, saying that she was very advanced for her age and that this was really good. He asks her to continue being devout. The protagonist thought that this was very impressive, as his sister was talented and worked very hard. But when he looks at her face, he thinks, "Boy, I take that back. It looks like she's looking at a dead insect." The boss then addresses the protagonist, "Third child, I hear you've taken to the streets." He replies that he did, because he had something to do and left quickly. The father just watches and says nothing. He then gets up and says that he's going out first, and that everyone should finish their meals. The protagonist wondered what was going on, as it seemed that the head of the clan wanted to say something more. He was sure he would mention something when they met after the meal. A woman approaches the protagonist and says, "Young master, the clan leader is asking you to rest well today and to come to the leader's room tomorrow." The protagonist is puzzled by this drastic change. In the bedroom, he wonders why he hasn't woken up yet and concludes that it definitely wasn't a dream. He wonders if it's a regression, like the ones he's heard so much about. Filled with rage, he punches himself and says that perhaps this means that he will be able to kill the celestial demon first. No, that wasn't an absurd statement that could be dismissed with a sigh. He wondered how he could kill the celestial demon, given that this being had killed the 3 great supremes considered the most powerful under the heavens. As he reflects on his past life, in which he lived as a condemned demonic human under the celestial demon's rule, just to survive, he realizes that he has many regrets. But those regrets from his past life have taught him many things. Now, if he has really been reborn in this world, he wants to finally have the right to choose another life. He decides that the celestial demon will be killed by Yahello and that the demon cult will disappear. Until everything is settled, he wants to live a peaceful life and not miss this opportunity. He refuses to repeat the regrets of his past life. The protagonist then decides that the first thing he has to do is channel all his power inside himself, creating a sphere of fire in his abdomen. He realizes that, no matter how much he searched his body, this was the only energy he could find. When he saw how pathetic his inner energy was, he realized how incredible his sister was, who was only a year older than him. The protagonist had already reached the 3-star level, but there's nothing he can do about it at the moment. He thinks, "I can only train with the cultivation techniques passed down from the Gu clan lineage. This art is called Gu Flame Will Art, and cultivating it means developing all the points slowly, like a blossoming flower. Once I become 4 stars, I'll be able to emit inflammatory internal energy, and when I reach reach 7 stars, I'll be able to wrap this energy around my entire body. But at the moment, I'm just a mere star, and I need to gather internal energy as quickly as possible and refine it until I become 2 stars. He decides that in order to live a peaceful life, different from his past life, he must not depend on the power of demonic humans, as this could have negative consequences. Instead, he begins to meditate and concentrate some of his power, but soon realizes that the most critical problem is that if he keeps trying, he could actually die. With his current abilities, using internal energy is not easy at all, and if he continues, he could suffer an energy divergence. Even so, the protagonist begins to smile and says that he will still get results. He mentions that he is at an early stage, but has already become 2 stars and needs to keep progressing, step by step, but quickly, because this is a different life from his last one, and he doesn't want to be part of anything that could have a negative influence on his future. He ends up falling asleep and, when he wakes up, he feels pain all over his body, thinking, how does it make sense that my whole body hurts like this, just because I've trained a bit? It's my fault for not training until now. I've got a long way to go. He decides that in the afternoon he will go to the clan leader's room, and wonders if he should train a bit more there. When he opens the door, he sees the potato girl, who greets him with a sweet, cute smile. The scene then changes to a crack in the sky, where a man watches and says, "What are you staring at? Why don't you go home?" The man looking up at the sky replies, "That's not a star, but it was there before." Suddenly, the rift begins to open wider, and the man wonders what is going on. Then it is revealed that one day, monsters emerged from an empty space, also known as a portal to the demon realm. Each sect worked to create a group that could fight these monsters, and these people became known as sword units. Each sect needed a unit, and the Kanyu clan had 5 swords. The eldest sister, called Guwaibai, was the commander of the 5th sword unit. The protagonist comments that he spent half his life under her command, and that's how he formally met Yahello. Meeting Yahello after the potato incident should have happened 6 months later, but now everything was very different. The little girl, who was talking about the reunion, makes the protagonist turn his back, and he comments that he probably got too little sleep the night before. However, the girl grabs him from behind, and he wonders what she's doing there. The girl says, "It's nice to meet you. From now on, I..." But before she can finish her sentence, her grandfather slaps her hand away from the protagonist. He then says that he had already told her that he couldn't treat the young master like that. The protagonist is confused, not understanding what the old man was saying. The old man then orders her to apologize immediately, and the girl begins to apologize. The protagonist still wonders what is going on. The gentleman then bows and introduces himself. "My name is Mun, and I will be serving the young master from now on, by grace of the clan chief." The protagonist comments that it might not be very pleasant to be served by an old man, but he assures him that he will do his best. The protagonist is indignant, thinking, so, does that mean that guy wasn't Yahello? The little girl then introduces herself. "My name is Yahello, and I'm going to help my grandfather from today. It's a pleasure to meet the young master." The protagonist wonders, "Serve me? If these are orders from the head of the clan, my father must surely have given me some instructions." He replies that it's a pleasure to meet them and thinks to himself that he's started this new life on the wrong foot and that he's screwed. He then says, "You can call me Gu Yongchun instead of young master." But you reply, "Understood, young master." Gu Yongchun just thinks, whatever. The protagonist looks at a broom and comments, "That's a real broom, isn't it?" The gentleman just looks back and smiles, while Gu Yongchun wonders if it was alright. But the most important thing was what the girl was doing. We then see Yahello piling up a pile of clothes, while a girl tries to help her, saying that it was too dangerous to carry all that by herself. Yahello insists that she can do it by herself, talking about herself in the third person. Yahello can do it, I mean it. Suddenly, the little girl trips over a stone, dropping all her clothes on the floor and hitting her forehead. To make matters worse, the basket falls on her head. Gu Yongchun thinks to himself how that girl could be so clumsy, imagining that she must have more talent for martial arts, but wonders how she could be so clumsy. Yahello gets up, crying, and approaches the protagonist, who asks her why she didn't finish what she was doing. She replies that she was sent to follow him wherever he went. Gu Yongchun asks who told her to do it, and she replies that it was her grandfather. The protagonist then wonders what was going on and concludes that Yahello was now his servant. He thinks that they probably gave her this job because no one wanted to deal with him, since he is still the son of a large family. He also reflects that it's strange to have a servant girl chosen in this way. Gu Yongchun comments that Yseola doesn't seem so bad, but having a supreme sword as a servant is a lot of pressure for him. Yseola tries to fix the protagonist's kimono and, after a while, says that it was ready. However, it didn't look tidy. The protagonist turns around and thinks, my father doesn't even know who they are, or he just doesn't care, because so many servants have quit. Even so, he remembers that his father asked him to go to his room, so he'll find out what's going on when he gets there. Yseola asks the young master to wait for her, but he asks where she thinks she's going and tells her to stay and take care of things first. Embarrassed, she replies that everything was fine. The protagonist goes to the gate and asks Yseola to finish learning how to do her job. She's sad, but as he closes the door, he catches her eye and says he'll bring her a sweet, so she better do her best. Yseola is very happy with the protagonist's words, while her grandfather observes the whole situation. Changing scenes, the protagonist comments that the whole thing was very frightening for him, as they weren't that close in their past lives and had never talked like this before. He thinks, well, he must have something to say, since he called me here. After I've heard everything he has to say, I'm going to ask him why Yseola and why Hyagun are in my quarters. Suddenly, his father appears behind him and asks what the boy was waiting for. The protagonist is startled and jumps when he sees his father. The father then asks the boy to come in, saying that everything is fine. Sitting at the table, Gu Yongchun's soul was practically leaking out of his body, thinking, did I really say something stupid in front of the head of the clan? I should have died right then. His father then asked if he had seen the new servants, and Gu Yongchun replied that he had, since he had greeted them that morning. The man then says he understands and asks what he thought of them. Gu Yongchun replied that he was glad they had found servants for his well-being, but that he was wondering something. However, before he could continue, his father interrupted him, saying that it was better not to ask and that he would know when the time was right. Gu Yongchun said he understood, but thought, even knowing all this, my father still appointed them as my servants. Is this all part of some kind of agreement? His father continues, don't worry about silly problems like that and get ready to go to the Unified Dragon Assembly tomorrow. Gu Yongchun replies that it's fine, he'll go, but in his thoughts, he asks himself, Unified Dragon Assembly? What is that really? I can't remember. Suddenly, he opens his eyes and remembers. The scene changes to Gu Yongchun talking to his bodyguard, and he says, please cut my throat right now. The man replies, young master, do you hate going to the Unified Dragon Assembly so much? Gu Yongchun replies that yes, he hates it very much. It is explained that this is a very important event, where the new members of the sword unit are chosen, held biennially for the good of the sword unit, which works to close the gates of the demon realm, risking their lives for the good of Kanyu and all the residents of Shanxi. It is an obligation for members of Kanyu's direct lineage to take part in this event. Gu Yongchun then says, I told you to cut my throat, didn't I? I'm sure I can get rid of it if I'm dead. The man replies, but the head of the clan won't kill you. Gu Yongchun says that even Elder Li will be there, which makes him very scared. The bodyguard comments that that guy will beat up the protagonist if he runs away again. Gu Yongchun is indignant about the whole thing, wondering who Elder Li could be, especially since he's so nasty to him. Elder Li had always believed that Gu Yongchun should act with poise, as he was the only son in the family and should therefore be responsible for the honor and prestige of the clan. The bodyguard commented that Gu Yongchun should be grateful to him because Elder Li, despite being a very busy man, always found time to teach him valuable lessons, although the scoldings and punishments made him want to avoid him as much as possible. Gu Yongchun reflects that, even with all these lessons, he managed to become a loser. The bodyguard asks what he was saying, and Gu Yongchun replies that it was nothing, that he was just talking to himself. He then asks when they would have to leave, and the bodyguard replies that they would leave when everyone was ready. Gu Yongchun asked if that was it. At this point, all the women were commenting on how beautiful Yseola was and how someone could be that beautiful, betting that she would break many hearts. Gu Yongchun, surprised, asked, Yseola, aren't you ready yet? She replies apologetically, saying that she was trying to look after Yseola. He asks if Yseola was causing trouble again, but at that moment they show Yseola completely tidied up, which makes Gu Yongchun feel embarrassed. She approaches him and says, everyone is saying how beautiful I am. Gu Yongchun, not knowing how to react, stands awkwardly, not knowing what to say. He could only think that she really was very beautiful. beautiful. Yahello then asks, do you think I'm very pretty too? At that moment, Guyan-chan is so embarrassed that smoke seems to have come out of his ears. He changes the subject, saying that everyone was waiting, but she insists, asking again if she was pretty. He, trying to escape, says that they need to go to the carriage. Yahello comments that the carriage was very nice and that it was going very fast. A woman then asks if it was her first time riding in a carriage. Yahello replies that she did, and that she thought horses were just for eating, but she never imagined they could run so fast. Guyan-chan then asks, Muyan, where did you say the Unified Dragon Assembly is actually taking place? Muyan replies that it will be at the Celestial Exchange. Guyan-chan thinks that's Shanxi's famous shopping district, and it looks like Elder Li has put a lot of effort into making it happen. Muyan comments that it will take about 4 hours to get there and suggests that he take a rest. Guyan-chan agrees, thinking it's a good idea since he didn't get any sleep the night before because of the training. In fact, he hasn't slept much lately. Meanwhile, Yahello starts complaining that the horse meat smells very strange. Just then, Guyan-chan shoves a cookie into her mouth and tells her to shut up and eat it. He lies down, happy to finally be quiet, and decides he's going to get some sleep. However, Yahello soon appears again, asking if he has any more cookies. He asks if she hadn't told him that they had arrived. Guyan-chan gets up quickly and, looking outside, realizes that they have finally arrived. Guyan-chan thinks it must be because there's a big festival in Shanxi, as there are so many people there. Yahello is also impressed, but what impresses her most is not the number of people, but something that smells very good there. Suddenly, a man approaches her and says, you must be tired from your long journey, aren't you, my boy? I'm Chun Ishil, the Deputy Merchant Chief of the Celestial Exchange. It's an honor to meet the rising star of the Gu clan. Guyan-chan replies, I'm Guyan-chan, from the Gu clan. It's an honor to meet you too. Chun Ishil continues, the first day was uneventful, thanks to the efforts of Elder Li and Miss Gu. I'm sure you're very tired, so I'll guide you to your room. Guyan-chan thought, Miss Gu, and could only remember his sister. He had hoped not to meet her there, but his concern soon became reality when he saw her face, with the usual expression of few friends. Guyan-chan says, hi, my sister. And she replies, don't you hi me. You annoy me too much, kid. Although I don't think you'll cause any trouble here at the Unified Dragon Assembly, get any funny ideas you have out of your head. And don't do anything stupid that brings shame on the family name. Guyan-chan replies that he'll be as quiet as a mouse, so she needn't worry. He is, however, frustrated, thinking that she wasn't worried about him. Neither Guyan-chan nor Yahello understand what she meant by that. At that moment, Guyan-chan's sister notices Yahello's presence and looks at her with a different look. She then says, I guess old habits never die. No person is going to act differently here, are they, kid? Guyan-chan asks her what she's talking about, and she replies that she thought he had changed, but concludes that people really never change. Guyan-chan can only wonder what came over her to say that and tries to apologize for what happened. Chun Ishil comments that it's not necessary, as he's heard that brothers and sisters fight all the time, so it's normal. He suggests that, since Guyan-chan must be tired, they should go. Guyan-chan then asks if he can go somewhere else first. They arrive at a new location, and Yahello comments that the place is huge and that he has never seen such a large building before in his life. Guyan-chan reflects, I've heard that merchants are judged by their financial power and how much they invest in organizing festivals, but isn't this too much, even for them? He thinks that today they are celebrating the incredible efforts of the sword unit. The duels to choose the new members of the sword unit would take place the following day, and Guyan-chan thought it was fortunate that the members of the main lineage didn't have to take part. He believed that his only task would be to watch and that nothing bad would happen, since he was doing everything right. However, just as he was thinking this, a mysterious man appeared behind him. The man commented, kid, this time you decided not to run away, haven't you? And tried to grab Guyan-chan's head. On instinct, Guyan-chan turned around quickly, feeling the need to defend himself, but he couldn't react in time. The gentleman then stroked his head, asking what the problem was and commenting, you used to run whenever you saw this old man here. Guyan-chan replied that there was someone who would fold him in half if he wasn't there. The old man, surprised, asks who would say something so terrible, and Guyan-chan replies that it was the second elder. The old man was surprised that Guyan-chan was answering him directly. In his thoughts, Guyan-chan reflects that the second elder has always had a certain fixation on him, perhaps because he is the only son of the head of the clan. Yahello, always with her quirky mind, comments that the old man looked like a bear and that bears are so tasty, and horses too. Both the old man and Gu Yongchun looked at her, not understanding what she was saying. The old man began to stare at Yahello with a bloodthirsty look, and Gu Yongchun commented that the old man was scaring everyone with that look. Yahello was already scared, thinking that Grandpa Bear was going to devour them. The elder then asks Gu Yongchun if that child next to him was his mistress, which leaves Gu Yongchun shocked, as she was just a child. Gu Yongchun clarifies that Yahello is a servant girl, and the elder, without giving much importance, replies, "Whatever, if you're saying." The elder then reminds Gu Yongchun that, although he's only a spectator at the Unified Dragon Assembly, he'd better go to bed soon, as he still has to take part in the event the next day. Gu Yongchun agrees and bids the second elder goodnight, while Yahello, still frightened, whispers to Gu Yongchun, "Let's get out of here soon before that monster devours us." The old man comments that if Gu Yongchun runs away, he will certainly kill him. Yahello, frightened, asks if Grandpa Bear is going to eat her, and Gu Yongchun, trying to calm the situation, jokingly says that he would strangle her first. The old man, however, observes that there is something very mysterious surrounding that child. The scene changes to the day of the Unified Dragon Assembly. Gu Yongchun comments that he thought the event would start in the morning, but it seems it won't start until lunchtime because of the queue. His bodyguard confirms this. Gu Yongchun notes that Shanxi's numerous clans, or anyone who can prove their identity, can take part in the tournament, but he didn't imagine there would be so many people. He reflects that becoming a member of the sword unit is very important. Yahello, still worried, asks if Grandpa Bear is going to rip her head off, and Gu Yongchun, already irritated, asks what that girl's problem is. She asks if he couldn't send her to hibernate, but Gu Yongchun replies seriously that it was spring. He then says that if she was so scared, she should have stayed in her room. Yahello replies that her grandfather asked her to stick to Gu Yongchun. He thinks that he can't order her to disobey the Supreme Swordsman, so it would really be better for her to stay by his side. Gu Yongchun tries to calm Yahello down, saying, "Relax, our bodyguard here is going to defeat Grandpa Bear." She is impressed by this, but the bodyguard asks who Grandpa Bear is. Gu Yongchun explains that he is the second elder, and the bodyguard replies that he wouldn't dare touch him, and that Gu Yongchun should show more respect when talking about him. Gu Yongchun jokes that there's no way, and Yahello, in all her drama, replies that if she dies and it makes Gu Yongchun happy, she'll do it. Gu Yongchun only replies that he was joking with Yahello. She then comments that her grandfather said that ghosts who die with a full belly are much prettier, especially those who die after eating dumplings, which leaves everyone speechless. Muyin asks Gu Yongchun to treat his servant well, and he replies sarcastically, "Treat her well? You haven't seen, have you? A servant begging for dumplings." In thought, Gu Yongchun reflects that he doesn't know how to treat Yahello, since she keeps showing up in his new life, just as she did in his old one. Muyin comments that the girl doesn't understand her role as a servant, and yet Gu Yongchun bought her, which leaves him speechless. Muyin then adds that Gu Yongchun is very different from the rumors, pointing out that they shouldn't be trusted and that he still has a lot to learn. Gu Yongchun replies that Muyin is exaggerating, especially about some dumplings, but then asks, "Wait a minute, rumors? How long have you been my guard?" Muyin replies that he's been in charge for about 2 weeks. Gu Yongchun thinks that Muyin must have been appointed shortly after his return and ponders who is luckier in this situation. Suddenly, a woman appeared speaking loudly, drawing a girl's attention and saying that it was dangerous to walk alone. The girl replied that the woman was exaggerating and that, with the Unified Dragon Assembly taking place, there was nothing to be afraid of, since the place was full of members of the Gu clan. Gu Yongchun recognized the familiar voice, and the woman replied that this was precisely what worried her, as the girl could end up bumping into the heir to the Gu clan. Gu Yongchun became indignant, thinking that there were many people in the place and that they were talking about him in a threatening way. As the girl turns to leave, she spots Gu Yongchun. Muyin comments that the expressions of the lady and her guard look like they've seen a ghost, and asks if Gu Yongchun knows them. In his thoughts, Gu Yongchun reflects that he would never forget the hair that falls over her shoulders, her deep black eyes, and that ring on her hand, with a symbol that appears when examined closely. He thinks that, although he has never met anyone like her, the meaning of that ring is not foreign to him, as it was from the Peng clan. Soon, we see a sword flashing, and Gu Yongchun Yang-chun recognizes the girl as his former fiancée. He explains that there was an arranged marriage with the Peng clan of Ebai, one of the 4 major clans, because the Gu clan is as prestigious as the 4 clans, and they had a child of a similar age. Gu Yang-chun was destined to be the heir if nothing happened, and the Peng clan probably thought that an arranged marriage with the Gu clan would be acceptable. However, the problem lay in the problems he caused and the bad rumors about him, such as abandoning training to cause more problems, which was not favorable for the Peng clan. What really destroyed the relationship were the things Gu Yang-chun said to that girl. When the girl was about to ask why Gu Yang-chun was there, he interrupted her and said that he should be the one to ask. He asked her why she was there, and she replied that she had some business there. She explains that they didn't own Shanxi territory, so she didn't need to report her every move. Gu Yang-chun replies, "Whatever." The girl starts shouting, asking why he was speaking so rudely to her, and if he had forgotten that she was a year older than him. Gu Yang-chun replies that it was bad, that he really had forgotten that she was older, and asks if everything is alright now. He then asks why Seola if she has bought her dumplings yet, but she remains silent. Gu Yang-chun then bids farewell to his ex-wife, saying, "Whatever you're doing here, have a good time, but we're very busy at the moment, so I'll see you later." He simply turns his back on the girl, ignoring her. The girl thinks, of course, right? Whether for work or fun, have a good time. It had to be just when I'm busy enough dealing with my brother. And I've never met that girl next to him before. Could that little girl be his servant? And with a cute servant by his side, has he changed at all? She then recalls an incident from the past, where Gu Yang-chun had said that she was just a concubine's daughter. On that occasion, she grabbed Gu Yang-chun by the neck and asked, "What did you just say?" He replied, "Well, I'm not wrong, am I? Or am I?" Irritated, she punched him in the face and said, "I was prepared to put up with anything, even an arranged marriage, and all the terrible rumors about you, all for the good of the Peng clan. But you know what? To hell with all that and to hell with this marriage. You're dead, you fucking bastard." She even picked up a chair to hit Gu Yang-chun. She thinks that if nothing has changed since then, he's still the same. However, when she saw Gu Yang-chun helping Seola, she was impressed, as this was not his normal attitude. She thinks that maybe there is something a little different about that boy, but soon concludes that he was probably just in a good mood that day, as it would be impossible for him to change so suddenly. Suddenly, everyone is interrupted by a shout. One person shouts, "What did you mean by that?" Seola asks if the dumplings are okay, and Gu Yang-chun asks her to be quiet. A man appears, trying to calm the situation, saying that the problem won't be solved by shouting, and that the person needs to calm down. The man who is shouting replies, "I'm telling you I don't have time. You'll be responsible if I get caught." The other man asks, "Caught? What do you mean?" The man remains silent for a moment and then says, "I never said that." The other man, irritated, asks if he was joking. Gu Yang-chun asks if they should help, and Muyin replies, "Man, do we really need to do that?" Gu Yang-chun explains that anyone can take part in the Unified Dragon Assembly, but only if they can prove their identity. Muyin then asks if they should allow him to continue making a scene, and Gu Yang-chun comments that discussions at the entrance to the Unified Dragon Assembly are rare and that the Gu clan martial artists on duty would take care of it. The man, insistent, says, "Let's stop here." At that moment, the man who was shouting strikes the other, who asks, "What are you doing?" The man replies that he now thinks he has proved his ability and asks if he can take part. The other men deny it, saying that after what he's done, there's no way he can take part. He asks why, since he was showing off his skills. Muyin asks if they should intervene, but Gu Yang-chun decides that he doesn't want to get involved and suggests that they go inside, leaving the others to take care of the situation. The other man says, "You can't just have things your own way. We have our own rules here, kid, and you can't get in if you can't identify yourself properly." The man insists that his skills should be proof enough, but the other man replies that this was an even bigger problem. Suddenly, the boy says, "You're disrespecting the young leader of the Peng clan." This frightens both Muyin and Gu Yang-chun, who is surprised to hear it. The scene then changes to a place covered in snow, where a girl asks, "What are you doing here?" Gu Yang-chun replies, "Good morning, I was just warming myself by the fire because of the cold. Oh, and I was also taking the opportunity to bake this sweet potato." The girl comments, "Well, I'm not going to ask why you're doing this in front of my room, but what's that in your hand?" He explains that the potato would take a long time to bake, so he thought he'd use it to make the fire stronger. Annoyed, she strikes an object against his forehead. Gu Yang-chun asks why she hit his older brother, and the girl replies that he deserved it. She then asks if Gu Yongchun knew what that object in his hand was, and he replies that it was just firewood. She corrects him, saying that it was a plaque from the Peng clan, given to him by the head of the clan himself as a reward for graduating among the best in the Divine Dragon Academy and for being the youngest successor in history. She asks him if he knows what he can do with that plaque, and he innocently replies that yes, it can help make the fire stronger. Annoyed, she starts hitting him again, since he hasn't understood anything, and says that he should behave more like a successor. She continues, "Sometimes you don't know what you're thinking. You're young and yet very talented. You were even chosen to be the successor, but you seem dissatisfied with it all." Smiling, Gu Yongchun replies that she is far from the truth. In fact, he just wanted to get out of that place. Surprised, she asks why he doesn't leave and then come back. Gu Yongchun is impressed by her suggestion. The scene changes to a piece of paper on which Gu Yongchun announces that he's going away for a while. The girl reads it and comments, "So you mean that shitty brother of mine thinks 4 months is too little?" A woman then comes up and calls her, saying that the beggar's sect has news. The girl excitedly replies, "I'm finally going to find that son of a bitch," and asks where he is. The woman told her he was in Shanxi, and the girl was amazed that Gu Yongchun had gone so far. Returning to the present, Gu Yongchun insists that he has already shown all his abilities and so they should let him take part in the Unified Dragon Assembly. A man tries to calm him down, but Gu Yongchun replies that he doesn't have time for that. He suggests that, if necessary, he will show them the Dark Knight blade so that they will believe him. Muyin, upon hearing this, comments, "Young master, did you hear that? The Dark Knight blade?" Gu Yongchun thinks to himself that the Dark Knight blade is a technique exclusive to the direct lineage of the Peng clan, and concludes that the boy really could be who he says he is. He decides he better get out of there before he gets into any more trouble. Just then, the old man appears and, upon hearing about the Dark Knight blade, comments that the boy might not be a fraud. Gu Yongchun thinks that he's certainly in trouble now. The elder observes that the boy seems skillful enough and allows him to participate. The boy bows and introduces himself. "I am Peng Wujin, successor of the Peng clan. It's an honor to meet you, Grandmaster of the Pure Flame Fist of the renowned Gu clan." The elder replied, "It's been a while since I've heard that title." "Huh? You can take part without any problems, kid." Another man protests, saying that there's no way of knowing if the boy is really the successor, but the elder says he's sure that he is. The man asks how the elder can be so sure, and he replies that the boy looks a lot like his father and that the boy's physique is typical of a Peng. Besides, the ring on the boy's finger was proof enough. Gu Yongchun then thinks that it is the same ring as Peng Ai's, confirming that the boy is probably the Peng's successor. The old man asks the boy why he, as his successor, wants to take part in this competition, the aim of which is to find new swordsmen for the Gu clan. Peng Wujin replies that the Peng clan is no fun at all. The elder laughs and comments that this is not a bad reason, while Gu Yongchun can only think that the boy must have gone mad for good. The elder asks if his family has authorized his participation, and Peng Wujin admits that they probably wouldn't allow it, which is why he ran away from home. The elder laughs a lot and asks Gu Yongchun if he's listening to all this. Gu Yongchun can only think that that boy is certainly stupid. The elder then comments that Peng Wujin seems to have been very well trained. The old man asks how old the boy is, and Peng Wujin replies that he will be 23 this year. Gu Yongchun, surprised, thinks, "Wow, that's my age. What's that, huh?" The elder then comments, "Are you that young? The Peng clan is raising a monster." He adds that he would like his little idiot to learn from Peng Wujin. Muyin quickly says to Gu Yongchun, "I'm sure he's not talking about you, young master." Ycela asks why Grandpa called him an idiot. Gu Yongchun, irritated, asks them both to shut up, as they were only making his situation worse. He thinks, "I don't care what he said, but if this guy really is Peng Wujin, then it's true that he's a monster. It won't be long before he gets the title of Blade Emperor." Gu Yongchun starts to think, well, he's from the Peng clan, but wasn't there someone else here from the Peng clan? Suddenly, a black-haired girl appears and, without hesitation, gives Peng Wujin a flying kick to the face, sending him flying away. Everyone is impressed by the force of the kick. She shouts, "You bastard! You were going to become the successor and then you ran away from home, leaving only a note behind. So tell me now, what do you have to say? Peng Wujin, after thinking for a moment, replies, spare my life? She continues, did you run away from home to become a swordsman for another clan? Have you gone mad or is there shit in your head? And starts hitting him again. Peng Wujin complains that he's hurting her, and she replies, you have to, you piece of shit. Gu Yongchun then comments, well, I think he's going to die. Shouldn't we stop that? The elder replied, leave it, the Pengs are pretty tough. He won't die even if she hit him with an iron rod. However, Peng Wujin starts begging his master to help, and Gu Yongchun asks, are you really sure about this, that he won't die? The elder reconsiders and says, maybe our protagonist is right. He then interrupts the fight, saying, enough, you'll end up killing him. The girl, irritated, asks, who dares to say that, and soon realizes that it's Grandmaster Gu. She bows respectfully and says, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself before. I am Peng Ai, Grandmaster of the Pure Flame Fist, and I apologize for solving family problems like this in front of you. The elder comments, it was nice to meet someone as crazy as you. She replies, I won't forget that, and I'll find a way to make it up to you. We're leaving now. However, Peng Wujin interrupted, saying, no, we're not. Peng Ai, surprised, asks, are you kidding me? It's not possible. Haven't I hit you enough? With a very serious expression, Peng Wujin replies, does it look like I'm joking? She remains silent, then asks why. Peng Wujin replies, the Peng clan is no fun. She replies, so the other clans are? And he says, probably more than ours. He then asks her to mellow down a bit, since he is the successor to the family. Peng Wujin explains, that's exactly why I want to have some fun before I become the head of the clan. The only way to escape that fate is to be crippled or die, and I don't want either. I don't want to be head of the clan, but apart from you and me, the others are just beasts using our name. So I'm definitely going to become chief one day, and I can't leave that fate to you. That's why, even though I didn't want to, I agreed to be the successor. Gu Yongchun then asks the second elder, are you really going to let him take part? I honestly don't think it's a good idea for us to get involved in the Peng clan's problems. The elder replies, well, I'd like to, but considering the current situation of the Peng clan, I really don't know what to do. He then suggests, tell you what, I'll let you take part in this tournament if you beat me. The girl then asks, what nonsense are you talking now? Gu Yongchun asks if the elder has gone mad for good, and the elder proposes just 3 moves to decide who wins. What do you think, kid? Peng Wujin asks if that's all he needs to do, and the elder replies, have I ever lied to anyone? Let's decide the rules, then. How about this? If you touch me within 10 turns, you're the winner. As the elder spoke, Peng Wujin was already behind him at high speed, reaching for his sword. As he prepared to attack, the elder commented that the boy was very patient, and quickly turned around, ready with a punch. The scene shifts to the arena, where it is announced, you've waited long enough, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the long-awaited fight between the 2 stars who will lead the future of the Gu clan, the Flaming Sword Gu Yansil and Gu Yongchun, the first heir of the Gu clan. Gu Yongchun, confused, thinks, why the hell am I fighting here? And against my own sister? The scene returns to the old man, who punches Peng Wujin in the face, knocking him away. With a smile, the elder comments that he has won the fight. Gu Yongchun asks if he shouldn't have just dodged the boy's attack. The elder replies, when did I plan that? It was a fight you both agreed on. Besides, I controlled my strength, and he'll wake up soon. But Gu Yongchun thought that it didn't look like Peng Wujin would wake up anytime soon, since his soul seemed to be leaving his body. The elder then commented, I have nothing to do if the Peng clan comes to complain, so you can rest assured. I, the Fist of Pure Flame, will not die alone here. Gu Yongchun replied, please die alone. Gu Yongchun draws Peng Ai's attention, explaining that it was entirely the second elder's idea. She, now relieved, says, it's okay, it's a relief. Who knows what kind of trouble he would have caused if he'd been awake. The elder, smiling, commented, young man from the Peng clan, do you really think so? I really only did it because I thought it would be funny. Gu Yongchun wondered how that old fool had become an elder, feeling that things were only getting worse. Yahello enthusiastically begins to describe the Grandpa Bear fight, talking about the punch that sent Peng Wujin flying and then falling to the ground. Gu Yongchun thinks that Yahello is a very expressive child and wonders wonders how she managed to save the world. The old man comments that Waisila has a much better look than Gu Yongchun and decides to give her a present, a cookie. Waisila, delighted, says that she liked Grandpa Bear very much from the start, and the old man replies that he already knew that. The elder then turns to Gu Yongchun and asks if he is disappointed that he has only given a gift to his servant. He suggests that perhaps he should give Gu Yongchun something too. Gu Yongchun replies that he doesn't like sweets. Just then, the elder mentions that, after the Unified Dragon Assembly, Gu Yongchun will have to take part in an exhibition fight. The scene returns to Gu Yongchun facing his sister. She asks if he's not going to use a sword, and Gu Yongchun wonders, a sword? Did I use a sword back then? I really don't remember. The Kanyu Flame Will arts can be used with various types of weapons and are known to be especially effective with sword fists. In the end, I realized that my fists were better for me, so I stopped using the sword. Will this seem strange to everyone watching? His sister comments, well, whatever. I don't really care if you use a sword or a fist or whatever. Gu Yongchun thinks that her bad personality is finally coming out. The girl then says, I'm so grateful, my little brother. I'm happy to have this opportunity. He asks, well, what opportunity? She replies, a legitimate opportunity to beat up my little brother, and in front of so many people watching us. Gu Yongchun has a flashback, remembering the moment when the elder told him that he would take part in that exhibition fight. He had asked the elder why he needed to take part in a fight, especially against his own sister. The elder replied that he didn't need to shout like that. The old man comments, well, I don't want people to leave thinking that the Gu clan is weak. Gu Yongchun thinks that old man is really crazy. I can see in his face that he would only find it funny. But whatever, I'll give up in the middle of the fight. The old man then warns, if you're thinking of giving up in the middle, know that the same thing will happen as happened to that boy over there. And I don't think I need to say any more to you, do I? Gu Yongchun replied, you really want to see me get beaten up, don't you? And in front of so many people like that? The elder asked, Yongchun, are you really planning to lose? Gu Yongchun thought he wasn't planning to lose, but he couldn't waste his one chance to start again. He reflects, I don't want to waste my energy on a fight that didn't even happen in my past life, and what's more, against my sister. His sister then says, my dear brother, who is naturally going to become the next clan leader just because he's a man. I'll tell you one thing, I hate you to death. The fight then begins, and she rushes forward to attack Gu Yongchun. He narrowly manages to dodge the attack. She then makes another attack with her sword, but Gu Yongchun ducks just in time. Without hesitation, she attacks again, but is surprised to see that he has managed to dodge 3 of her attacks. She thinks, how can a mere 2-star bastard be dodging my 3-star attack? Gu Yongchun, realizing what she's thinking, reflects, I'm managing to move half a step ahead of her, but even that is taking my breath away. It just shows that I'm completely untrained right now. How am I going to finish this? He considers letting her hit him, but wonders if he'll be able to continue in one piece after taking a full blow from her. The only thing left for him is to dodge all her attack. Then his sister comes very close to him, grabbing his GI. Gu Yongchun quickly pulls it off, but she rips it in half. He comments, if you're going to attack with such an obvious intention, you'll only make it easier for me, little sister. Could you stop? He thinks, how much murderous intent does she have? She must have a lot of murderous intent to tear my clothes like that. Her sister continues, I forced myself to accept that I would never be leader of the clan because I'm a woman, and even though I killed myself working harder, much harder than you. And to think that you, who have lived your life wasting away like a piece of garbage, are going to take away from me the path I've wanted so much in my life, and all this just because you're a man. Can you, little brother, understand just a little of what I feel? As she spoke, her sword began to be coated with fire. Gu Yongchun thought, she's coated her sword with martial energy. This is starting to get very dangerous, and this level is well beyond 3 stars. His sister begins to attack him furiously, and the only thing he can do at that moment is dodge. The more he dodged, the angrier his sister got, and she shouted, you've been running away all your life, and you've never done anything but that. You have no talent and even less effort to fight for what you want. If you're going to live such a useless life, you should disappear from this world altogether. Gu Yongchun silently watched his sister's words, realizing that she was letting off steam with him. When she went to strike her next blow, Gu Yongchun noticed that she had a very sad expression, almost crying. He also began to show a sad expression. His sister then angrily said that he should disappear just like their mother. The moment she said this, Gu Yongchun grabbed her wrist with a single hand, surprising her. At that moment, Guyangchuan's sad expression turned into a bloodthirsty look. He faced his sister and said firmly, "What did you say to me? Would you have the nerve to repeat that to my face?" Well, everyone, that was today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, leave a like, comment down here what you thought, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to watch the videos without any ads and still support the channel, consider becoming a member. The button to become a member is below, so take a look. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks!